All right. Welcome to the broadcast. My name is Sean, and I'll be hosting today's webcast. I want to thank you for attending. I hope and trust that it will be a good investment of your time today. First of all, I want to congratulate you for the decision to spend your time today to educate yourself on technology that might be able to help you bid more, to increase accuracy, to have better handoffs for project management, and just overall to improve your business. Sometimes when the world is going crazy, I find that there's two types of people. There's those that think that the sky is falling and just wait to see what happens to them, and then there's others who make the decision proactively to do the right things to improve their business processes. So anyway, I look forward to our time together today. Please understand that this webcast is not a sales presentation. This is meant for educational purposes only. It is intended to help you understand how technology can be deployed within your facility to enable you to be able to carry out the effort of being able to do takeoff, arrive at commercial value, generate bombs, and just have a really, really great opportunity to bid more. And I would just finally say before I get started that when I survey our customers, it's not uncommon to hear that they are having to bid 10 projects for every one that they are winning. And so that creates a precedent or a need to be able to make the most efficient possible, since 90% of what they're doing is not usable going forward. It ends up being for naught. And so we need ways and tools to be able to take advantage of bid opportunities, to make sure that we get everything bid properly, that we can manage changes within the requirements on the fly, and that we can, really, really have great visual tools if we do get the job to be able to hand off the engineering, and at the same time be able to get ahead of the curve for materials acquisition. So what you're seeing on your screen comes directly from the RSA Solutions website. If you're not familiar with this website, it's actually a really good one. Under the products tab, I simply went to OnScreen Takeoff. You might notice that there's other technologies here, Almoxi for being able to do online e-commerce solutions, very amazing, all the way through manufacturing. If you don't have a digital strategy that includes e-commerce into the future, you might be missing out on something a company like Toys R Us probably looks back on now and sees how their business environment was changed from Amazon and Walmart online. CutRite, world's leading panel cutting optimization, both for panel saws as well as nested base routers. It also has its own internal product configurator, really, really powerful tool, connects to pretty much anything. Today we'll be focusing on OnScreen Takeoff and our estimation spreadsheet working together. Production Coach, really, really powerful tool for helping with the manufacturing execution process. The things like, tracking, sorting, kitting, staging, shipping, job site control, timekeeping, business intelligence, and more. Our WoodCAD CAM, AutoCAD-based engineering and manufacturing software, incredible engineering tool for sure, generates all the manufacturing data. For those with HOMAG machines, our MMR Office machine monitoring and reporting, collection of big data and analysis through on the website, you will just find that there is a huge amount of information, a ton of videos and things that can help you along the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop open today OnScreen Takeoff. What I'm going to do is tell this that I want to create a new bid. There are a lot of different ways to use the program and a lot of things you do. I'm just going to give you some examples today that I think are going to be really helpful for you to understand, but certainly doesn't cover in full detail. You would imagine that's a reason why that we provide some pretty extensive training for it as well. But what I'm going to do is give this a bid name, and I'm going to go select a set of plans. And so here, from the set of plans, I'm going to go to a folder where I have some PDF documents, and I'm going to go find something that would work for us today. And, Holiday Inn, that would probably work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import all of these PDF files, and I'm going to convert them to a TIFF files. The reason that I want to do that is I want to be able to move super, super fast around the screen without any kind of delay. Sometimes PDFs and stuff can be a little bit sluggish. So a little bit about the interface. The biggest portion of the screen is actually where I'm going to do the takeoff in. So if I wanted to look at this, we'll see here are all the different pages that we have as part of this. And so I'll just go select one so you'll see how easy it is to change. And so now I'm at a page here called Elevations, or whatever number of pages you have for that. In the upper left-hand corner, what it's going to do is show me the amount of zoom. So for example, if I zoomed into this exercise room, now it would allow me, utilizing the tool in this upper left-hand corner, to be able to pan as fast as I want. Please understand that just because of bandwidth, that kind of stuff, you can't see or be able to have your screen update at the same speed that I can move. But definitely, if we're only going to get 1 out of 10, we want to be able to go fast for it. So hopefully you understand that. In the bottom left-hand corner of the screen is going to show me what it is we're working on. What I'm going to do is insert a style set, and we have created for this industry a style set of conditions broken up by a lot of different things, from base cabinets to corner cabinets to tops, drawer banks, door drawers, fixtures, sink cabinets, halls, walls. I mean, just a huge amount of things that we provide with the software itself when we're quoting. And so that makes it really fast and easy to be able to get right to work. So what I want to do for the moment is show you a few things about OnScreen Takeoff as we go. And so one of those is that I want you to see that it's possible to manage areas. And so for many of our customers, they actually break up a bid into multiple locations, especially if it's a commercial project. You know, it might be a hospital, a school, something like that. And so they don't want just all of the conditions and the totals for those for the overall project. They actually want to be able to break it out. So I'm going to do, in this case, I'm going to call an area Pantry 1, because I see we're dealing with that, and I'll say Pantry 2 for a second breakup. And I'll add another one here just so that we see that now we've broken this up into 3 separate areas for our bid. And so that's nice and easy enough to be able to work with. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit just so that you've got a little easier view of these elevations that we're working on. And so from this, we have easily the ability to perform the takeoff that we might need. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select directly from the conditions that we have, and I'm going to start doing takeoff. Now, in the case of what we're working on today, I'm going to select a linear condition to be able to do this. By the way, you might notice that there's scaling for this, and so I'm just going to set it at 3 to an inch equals 1, which is where it is. And I'm going to select on this and say, hey, I want to be able to take this off. And so now, in one swipe, I've been able to count exactly what we're doing. I'm actually going to do this across both elevations. Notice I had a 1 door at the end, and I want to deal with it a little bit differently. By the way, you can take or treat each condition the way that you want for them to be. And so I could adjust this and say that I want it to be a certain size or the way that I want it to work. I'm actually just marking up the drawing. So if you want it to appear circles as diamonds. If you want it to fill the whole space, it's totally up to you. However it is that you might want that to work. And so I'm going to notice that I do have some one door, one drawer that I want to be able to work on. And so I'm going to select this. And I'm also going to say, hey, I've got some two door, two drawer that I want to be able to work with. And you might decide that you want to make yours so that you would have a separate sink base or whatever it is that you might want to do. But it's just completely in your control, however you might want it to work. And so I'm going to take a little bit more of that off here, and I'm going to tell this that I've got some two door, one drawer that I need to be able to take off here and here. Got a dishwasher there. And so now we have some of the basics of this starting to work. And I'm going to say, hey, I want to put a countertop on this. In this case, I'm going to set this with a 4-inch splash. Again, your own colors, whatever it is that you want to do. So now I'm going to take this off, and I'm going to take this off. So it makes it really easy. And notice that it's counting all these things for me as I'm moving along. While I'm here, what I want this to do is get my meeting out of the way. What I want to be able to do is control the areas that this is in. So I made everything in Pantry 1. I'm going to come and select Pantry 2. And as a result of doing this, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to select all the items here, and I'm going to tell them to set them as the current area. So now, if you follow me, if we looked at all areas, everything would be turned on. If we looked at Pantry 1, only Pantry 1 is turned on. If we looked at Pantry 2, that is turned on. So it's a really great way to be able to take the data and parse it out, not only from the view on screen, but if you'll notice, that also now is separating my data so I know the exact amounts that I'm taking off for each of those areas. What my plan is today, if I don't mess anything else up, is to actually show you how to go from this quantitative takeoff that we did, this light amount of work that we've done, how to get that over into the estimation spreadsheet to be able to arrive at the commercial values, to generate the bombs and reports, all the things that we need to be able to make a report, and show you around it a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is come back to on-screen takeoff, and we'll do some more complex takeoff of other things, whether that's, dye walls, moldings around rooms, wall panel systems, all of that kind of stuff. So while we're here in the takeoff tab, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to actually take this and say that I want to be able to export this file. And so I'm just going to drop this on the desktop, and I'm going to call this Webcast, and we will say OK to this. So now what I'm going to do is pop open our estimation spreadsheet. This is an incredible spreadsheet. Maybe you've got your own, and we can help integrate to yours as well, but this spreadsheet has hundreds and hundreds of thousands of man hours likely built into it. It does some amazing things. I'm just going to click on Import CSV, and so now I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to go select this webcast. And so now you'll see that it just populated all these things and used the areas that we defined for this before. So if I scroll to the right on this, what you'll see is that even though, and by the way, I just showed an example of taking off in a lineal fashion. Some of our customers take off each cabinet. Some of our customers do lineal and then count fronts and finished ends. It's just really flexible how you can use it. In this case, we have a quantity 1 that happens to be the linear feet for this. We're actually doing some auto magic on this data, and we're taking it in and we're actually making conversions for the data to be able to calculate to the proper amount of cases to be able to get the materials as accurate as possible. So it's really nice that it's doing those kinds of things for us real automatically. Now, when we go look at this, we might want to look at the quote sheet and to be able to see that just from doing this, that we came up with a price for this literally on the fly. And so that was really nice that we can say, hey, you know what, this is a really cool thing that we have it built this way, but maybe there's some things that I want to change about this. maybe from the job information, I want to say, hey, if a pantry 1 is not going to be a PLAM 1, it's going to be a PLAM 2. And the pantry area for this, I'm going to call this a cherry. Just as an example, I could even go further into this and define specifically the way that I want. Maybe on this PLAM 2, I don't want the case edges to be 0.5 millimeter. I want them to be 3 millimeter, or I want to come over and tell this that it's a different kind of a drawer box. I got a meta box that's going into this, or maybe, the hardware, whatever types of hinges that I might want to be able to use. In this case, I needed to go to some 5-knuckle hinges. So you're able to define what specification groups are in each area, and then you could subdefine those individual settings for those specification groups. And what does that do? It changes the quote. And so now we have a different thing that has completely different values. You can, of course, this being spreadsheet in the way that it is, I can print this, I can make it have whatever general provisions, acknowledgments, exclusions, whatever that you might want to your bid. But the point is that we got this really, really fast, just directly from the output of the Takeoff. This also gives me the ability, if I wanted, to be able to look at this from a reporting standpoint. And so I could literally say, hey, I want to refresh my data, and I've just calculated out the sum price of all of these things. I have now calculated out the material. I now know the sum of square feet of the fixed price items, of the sheet goods, the edge banding, the drawer boxes. All of those kinds of things are calculated for us, not just the quantitative values, not just the commercial values, but also giving us a BOM directly from the Takeoff. So I think that that's pretty awesome. Before I move back into OnScreen Takeoff, I just want to walk you through each tab. You have the ability, of course, to add whatever number of customers. We went through the job information a little bit related to specifications, but of course there's even more editable and different ways that you can add even more types of spec groups to this. The quote sheet itself is, of course, completely alterable. It's just bringing data from other places, but you can make it look the way you want. I think if I went here and said, hey, I want to look at the way that this would print, you can, have this so that the appearance is going to be exactly the way that you want yours broken up. For some of our customers, they want to see line item information, but no prices per line item and only prices per area, or maybe we only want to display areas and sub prices. Any of those kind of things can all be done for you. So it just really depends on what it is that you want to have for this. From the product standpoint, we built a huge number of products within this that is doing pricing and stuff for us, and our markup levels, labor adjustments, all this kind of stuff. And of course, you can add as many of these products as you want so that it can automatically calculate for you. If we look at this from the custom standpoint, being able to take this information and be able to apply different values for solid materials, for hardware, for labor, all of that kind of stuff can be adjusted exactly the way that you want it to be. Also, a very complex set. We've already applied numbers and stuff, but for how you might want to apply different things, even all the way to, once we get past all the drawer slides and stuff, engineering labor, CNC, edge band, sub-assemblies, assembly, hardware, cleaning, tech, pickup, all that kind of stuff can be done for you to be able to calculate. And then the configuration file is just where you want files to be dropped from OnScreen so that we can automatically pick those up. So that's just a little bit of an example of what it is that we're doing in the estimation spreadsheet. And I want to use the remainder of our time to be able to go ahead and focus on OnScreen. But I want to stop for just a moment, and I want to be able to check out what questions we have. So give me just a second to read what we've going on. Yeah, so just wanted to answer this one in a good way. Question is about non-cabinetry kind of items. I just want to point out that OnScreen Takeoff can be used for almost any construction-related situation. There's over 30,000 customers of OnScreen Takeoff throughout the United States, and whether that's people that are doing landscaping, roofs, sheetrock, metal buildings, swimming pools, anything that you might need to take off in order to be able to come up with a bid, it works great for you. We're doing a project right now with a customer who's utilizing our estimation spreadsheet that has been completely customized for the types of things that they do to service the restaurant industry. You might imagine that in that case there are range hoods and appliances and cooler systems and freezers and all kinds of stuff that might go into this. And so it really, really is flexible for that. Great question. Hope that answered your question. And please keep the questions coming. So I'm going to go back over to the image of this for just a moment, and notice that we did do a little bit of takeoff here in the pantry area of this. I happen to notice that we had another type area here that I'm going to use as an example as well. Matter of fact, I'm going to zoom into it just a little bit more, and we'll use this. And this is an example in an exercise room that I'm actually going to help us understand how we could do something a little bit more complex off the beat of just standard cabinets and countertops. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that I want to actually do some takeoff of something, and I'm going to call this wall paneling. So I'm going to make a brand new condition. I'm going to tell this that I want it to be a type area. Notice that it could be linear, area, count, and attachment, a typical group. In this case, I'm going to make it an area. I'm going to give it a color if we want here. I'm going to tell it for unit of measure that I do want to know the square footage, but I also want to know the perimeter, which is going to tell me the calculations for the quirks or molding. And I'm going to also tell it that I want to be able to see a tile count of how many panels that I'm working with. I'm going to move over here to the advanced area and tell it that I want to make a grid, and I want the grid to be 3 foot by 4 foot, and I want this to have a 3/4 inch quirk. And so now I have all of this information. So now what am I ready to do? I'm literally going to take this, and I'm going to tell this that I want to start building this, and I'm going to back out around this doorway. And so now I have created this wall paneling. While I'm here, I'm going to use a command to do a blackout mode. And I'm literally going to take this right around this window and this window. So now what I'm telling the calculation is don't count the data that would have resided inside of this area. I want it to be calculated separate. So now if I wanted, I could even take this data that I have, and I could tell this that I want to adjust the way that it's going to work. Almost here. So I have now a data set that says that I have 52 square feet, I have 92 lineal feet, and I have 20 as my count of panels. I'm going to grab this. And so now I'm going to tell this grid, just so that you can see what's happening. I'm going to tell this that I want to be able to make an adjustment. Grab this. So now I can even adjust the panels themselves. So maybe I like it to look like this. And what you'll see as a result of this is that I'm actually changing the actual tile count that I have in it. So from 22 to 18. And so I'm getting this as close as I can. I'm not engineering it, but I'm getting it to where I really have some amazing data within it. I'm also going to move over and let's look at something from a floor plan. The reason I want to do this is that not all takeoff is done from an elevation. It's kind of nice. Actually, let me flip back here and show you something real cool first. We were back here in these elevations, and one thing that I'm going to add to this that I think will be pretty cool for you to see is I'm going to tell this that I actually want to create a name view, and I'm not going to do a lot of typing, so I'm just going to tell this that I want it to be a P1, and I'm going to tell this to be a P2. So what that's going to do is allow me to, even though I did my takeoff in the elevation, that's going to allow me to link it to a floor plan. And so here I'm going to come and zoom into this great room area, and here's my pantry right over here. I can literally say, hey, I want to be able to add a hot link to this, and this is going to be my P2, and I want to add one that is my P1. And so now I have a link to my elevation. So what does that mean? That means that if I wanted, I could just literally click a button and be able to see directly from the floor plan what was taken off in another view. In this case, happens to be the elevations themselves. So pretty cool to be able to do that. Sometimes we're going to need to do things on the fly. I'm just going to tell this that I want this to be linear. I'm going to call this a granite surface. And I'm going to tell this that I want this to be a certain size. I could tell this that I want it to be a particular color. I could tell it that I want it to have a certain shape or whatever it is that I want to do. And so now I have the ability to take this, and just in a matter of seconds inside of this area, now I've taken off 2 granite bars. Now let's do another type of condition. In this case, we'll make this one linear, and I'm going to call this crown. If I could type, and I'm going to tell this that I want it to have a particular size. I'm going to tell this how I want it to take off, and so we'll say, okay, 0.7. Okay, so now I'm going to start right here. I'm going to do takeoff through here, up to here, here, here. So what you'll see that it's appearing on screen is that I am counting, and by the way, I could count all the segments of this as well. And so now I'm going to take one across here. I'm going to tell this that I want to set it as a curved segment. I'm going to take this and actually bend it, and it's actually going to calculate its lineal footage based on the arc itself. So I now know that I've got 114 lineal feet of this crown that I'm doing. Also have the ability, in this case, maybe I want to do something, let's do a count, and I'm just going to tell this that I want to call this a top, and in this case, I'm going to tell this that I want this to be a diamond, and let's give this a color itself. Let's work with this, and so we can say, okay, so it means you could actually, within your own company, you could have your own strategy, just being able to know from the view of this, what's a base, what's a tall, what's a wall, what's a door drawer, any of those kind of things. So if you want, it's also really quick to be able to count and to be able to see that you've marked up things the way that you want them to be. I might make a decision and say, I really wish I wouldn't have made that quite as small as I did. I want that to be this particular size, and so now it's changed. So I can see that they've all been marked up. Any way that you want to be able to utilize this, we can work with you and to be able to make this a really, really super great experience. I'm going to go back over and look and see what we might have in the way of questions. Bear with me a second. Okay. I'm not going to answer pricing questions too much. I will tell you it's really cost effective. I'll tell you that implementation of it's super fast. Most of the time you're able to start doing some amount of takeoff the day you get it. But we do usually recommend a couple of 3-hour sessions to train you on and give you strategy for utilizing on-screen takeoff, as well as being able to understand how to use the tools within the spreadsheet itself. So get back here. So, but I don't really have anything else from a question standpoint Meant to be educational. I certainly allow a lot of time for this to be answering questions themselves. I try to cover, at least at the basic level, some of the things that I know that my customers care about. One that I think you should probably be aware of is that it's pretty common for customers who are doing projects to be able to have situations where they're getting bid changes or drawing changes along the way. Really powerful that it allows you to be able to bring in an overlay. And so you would have the ability to go select an overlay image. I'm not sure that I have anything as a great example of this, but let's see what we can do here. The main point, I think, for you to understand is that you have the ability to lay in a new drawing, and it will display for you any changes to it. And so it can make it really nice instead of having to rely on bubble or clouds and all that kind of stuff. Let's look at this. So now you'll see what's happened is that it's going to overlay a blue over a red, which is going to contrast the purple and allow me to see any differences in a glaring way. If I made an adjustment to this, let me see if I can do this. I'm going to align the overlay image just because I want to move it off of where it needs to go. I want to align this. Let me do that. There we go. So it's displaying for me to show me if there's any changes whatsoever that have been made to this drawing so that I don't have to worry about getting it right. I'll tell you a quick story. Sometimes stories are the best way to communicate things. Had a customer that got saved by OnScreen Takeoff, had a bunch of notes, let's call it A through Z, whatever it is. We can see we got notes in the bottom left-hand corner of this. And he got changes in a drawing, and it had some clouds on it, so he thought he was good and safe, made his adjustments. However, OnScreen Takeoff flagged that the text had changed. It's seeing that pixelization and anything different about it. As a result, guess what the note was? Locks on all cabinet doors. What if you missed a simple note like locks on all cabinet doors? Let's suppose for a moment that we didn't catch it. We bid the project. We won the project. Probably by mistake. We get the project, we produce the project, we install the project, and when they come to inspect, they discover that we don't have locks on all the cabinet doors. What would it cost? Get the installers back out there to drill on site, to have ordered hardware that we didn't plan on, to install all the stuff, and have all of those delays that are preventing us from being on time for the next project. So the little feature here, like the overlays, I believe is one that makes the entire program worthwhile just for that one simple feature, and it does so much more. Okay, now we have some questions coming, I think. Very good. How does it handle revisions and bulletins? I'm hoping that I just answered that. Sean, if you didn't get the answer that you're looking for, ping again, and I will try to do a better job. What this is doing is when you get revisions, it allows you to overlay those revisions on the individual drawings and allow you to see what has been removed, what has been added, what's been changed, and for you to be able to make a decision about how that might affect your takeoff. Not only is it part of the drawing itself, but also part of any of the bullet side of this. So I'm going to go zoom in on this notes and give you an example. Even though my overlay didn't have anything different, it's still displaying for me what is the difference. What is the difference between the text of it? So if I went here to the image and I said, turn this off, I'm now only seeing this. If I want to be able to see the overlay image and not see the original, if I want to be able to see them both. And so it's giving me a great fast way to be able to see if there's been any changes whatsoever that are occurring inside of any of the drawings, whether that be the actual layouts or the text itself. What else do we have? I don't want to make it overcomplicated. I want to hold you longer than necessary. I just want this to be a good experience for you, and want to make it a good thing. Anybody else have a question that we could cover today? Okay, well, I just want to thank you for spending the time with us today. Obviously, sometimes you need to see your own things, and of course, we're happy to help with those. There's a number of videos at rsasolutions.com, and to go to the product OnScreen Takeoff to be able to see great information, not only about the Takeoff program itself, about our woodworking conditions library, the estimation spreadsheet that is just magnificent, and what it can do and how it can be customized. We're here to help. I hope that it was an okay experience for you today. Sorry about the little license mix-up that took me a minute to resolve, but it was good. And I really, really appreciate you guys being part of it. Do follow rsasolutions.com. We're hosting monthly educational webcasts on various topics, and I believe that some of them can really be a great benefit. I don't know whether there's an exit poll today or not, but whoever invited you here, send them a little feedback, let them know what we could do to make the webcast better. And again, I just want to thank you for your time today. Take care, and God bless.